Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a minute. Chuck and I have been crazy busy with our lives, so I think this is like, I got to turn that off. Hold on. Let's restart that because I didn't turn my silent.
If this was me, you'd be talking about something else. Let me make sure mine's is on too.
What is that? Housekeeping? We're doing all of our networking meetings. Make sure your phone's on.
Speaking of our joint, right? Go ahead. I know. Listen, hold on. We'll talk in the joint. I'll start for the second.
Okay, all right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to. Let's start that over. Welcome back. God, we just showing our age right now. All right. Anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Goodness, I've been spending good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And Sean, and we are moment of bed. It's been a minute. We've been busy. All right. Let's start this over. 5. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with Moment of Minute. It's been a minute. Chuck and I have been crazy busy. Yeah. I believe this is like episode 19. So we are on episode 19. We've been posting a lot on Facebook and TikTok, and I don't know what's going on with TikTok. If they're going to actually close that down in a couple of days, and also Instagram. So thank you for all the love that you guys have been showing us. We appreciate it. Got a lot of comments, a lot of DMs, people hopping in our DMs, just talking to us. So we appreciate all of them. But today's topic, what are we going to talk about, Chuck?
Is over the next 4 years, like, how do we see and view each other and still respect each other in these times?
Yeah, you sent me the topic and it was very vague, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? So explain to the people what that means, how we're going to get along over the next 4 years.
So when over the last couple of last administration, right, and even since Obama, like I say like who you like, but who I like shouldn't hurt you, right? And the one thing that Trump's
so we're talking about the election,
right,
and how we're going to be affected by Donald Trump and his administration, and how just people are going to get along, the vision in the country over the next 4 years, and how are we going to treat each other, in the midst of a Trump administration. Is that what we're talking about? And I don't think it starts with Trump. I think it goes back to the first Trump administration, even the Obama administration. Yeah. Republicans and Democrats have been going at each other's necks for some time now, and it's just, I think the division has just gotten further and further apart as far as us coming together as a country and as a nation, as a people, and as God's children, right? Because we are God's children first before we are Republicans or Democrats, black, white men. We are all God's children, and we should treat each other as such. All those other titles come out long far after we are considered to be His children.
And that's the point. But I think for me, I've never felt the sort of the pressures of politics so close. Like I've never been up so close to it. Like normally I'm like, I make it a rule and I don't talk about politics, religion, or sexuality. I just stay out of those conversations.
I talk about all that stuff.
Right. And you do it well though. I don't. Like I'm blunt, so when I talk, people are like I'll say like, I don't like this, right? That turns into I don't like you. And that I don't understand that point of view. I have a neighbor, an old neighbor, and she used to love to tease me about she used to love to tease me about administration because she know I don't get into politics. The one year I did get into, because I think everybody was like, I represented their candidate, and I thought this was what this was about, a friendly disposition. And one of the neighbors started running down all the stuff that they thought, and I was like, I never really thought of it in terms of, more than politics, because that's what it all comes down to, right? And then one of the things I had said is that I had a real conversation, and that's what it started with. I had a real conversation with a neighbor and a church friend, right? And I said, I don't mind people feeling the way they feel, because I understand that many people like Trump for monetary reasons, for, their businesses, and some, and now the big thing is...
That's the only thing I can see it is abortion and their monetary reasons.
No, it's more than that, because, I started talking to my family back in Jamaica, and then started talking about my wife's family, my late great wife's family in Africa, and my family in Africa, and friends, and we were talking, and the biggest thing that their thing is that they're rallying behind Trump because they're like,
social issues with LGBTQ.
Yeah, because see, and when people, before somebody gets sensitive, you got to remember with Jamaica's history with the homosexuality and the LGBT is that it was forced on them, right, historically. So that's why they have a sense of, don't bring that over here because you can't force me to do it, because that's how it was introduced to them. So that's why they have the feelings the way they feel. Like everybody say, when they say, I don't want this, I don't want this, why do you feel like that? You need to stop, but you need to know the history. And that's why I said, I understand and I study the history. Like I want to know, if you say, Sean, you say, Chuck, I don't really like people from that certain area. I'll be like, why? I don't feel a certain way. Like I'll ask why. But their biggest thing, and that's what they're rallying behind Trump, because they're worried. They're like, we don't care who people are. For my friends and family, they don't care who people, but they just don't want to be forced to have to, if I don't let this person stay, or if I don't bring this person, or I'm not as welcome, and we lose tour money, we lose this, and we lose the sense like we're a Christian establishment if we don't do what the government says do. And I think that's what a lot of Trump represents, right? But I think for me, and I said to a friend of mine, I said a real conversation, she was like, what do you feel one way or the other? I said, my thing is that I didn't feel safe. And that's the thing for me, because I told you the one time I was with my ex and we were down at Ollie's, and we was doing a pandemic and stuff came out, and we were just had the sales. We were happy to be out, and we had been in a house, I'm in quarantine, working from home, and went down to Ollie's, and I had to put everybody back in the car until I'm on the floor, because I got out of the car. White guys over here, big old flag, and that's why I have a problem. And then that's my issue with the whole big flag. Like, when did our American flag change colors to fit people's racism in the narrative? I don't understand.
I mean, the black and the blue and the
both
and the red.
Both. I just feel like that, because for me, he was flying two of those flags on the back of his pickup truck, and he said, I totally unsolicited. He got out of the car and he was like, if anybody don't like my president, my this and my, and I'm like saying, like, whether I like it or not, like, I didn't say anything. I didn't understand that.
Right.
Like, I was just like, I just don't want no more of that. And then getting pulled over by police and being called, boy, you need to get your place, and don't ask me no questions. And I didn't understand. And then so when he was on the TV and he made the statements to say, knock him in the head, knock him around, as a black person, that made me feel unsafe.
So we got that's a lot of different topics,
right?
And
that's why I said.
So you have racism,
right?
Bigotry, racism. You have homosexuality, LGBT community, transgender community. We have Trump within itself and his administration, and I think all of that is out of a lot of fear,
right?
And so. I believe our God is sovereign, right? So he doesn't let anything happen that he's not aware of and not willing to allow to have happen, right? And so here's my thing on the Trump administration. The first one, I don't know too much about the second one because it hasn't happened yet, but the first administration, so I'm not a Trump supporter. I believe...
your friends are going to be disappointed.
No, they know. And we've had conversations about that.
Right.
But I believe, number one, that neither party are for the people. And I think that's what people see in Trump, is that he's neither party, right? He commands the Republican Party, and the Democratic parties are solely against him. Now, the Democratic Party, in my opinion, have been stealing the African-American vote for a century, or not centuries, but for decades, right? They say they're going to do this for the African-American community, and our communities typically never change in the midst of their administrations.
I have an issue with that.
Right, but hold on.
Okay.
But neither does, the Republicans just don't pretend that they're going to do anything for the African-American community, and they don't. Now, that's not saying that stuff doesn't change, doesn't get done, and when Democrats versus Republicans are in office. But I think both parties have an agenda, and they don't fit the common middle-class citizen that walks in these United States. I don't think that they're for them. I think that both parties are for their wealthier constituents and the people that provide them with money and funds to fund their campaigns. And so I think that there should be a lot of change in the government, especially having term limits. But getting back to the Trump administration and why I said God was sovereign. So you guys can feel one way or another about abortion, and I've had an abortion, so I've been there too. But I think that what God did with Trump was to put him in place so he can get those judges in there, so abortion could be, challenged, because I don't believe God truly wants his babies to die. And I'm not judgmental about people. Again, I've had it, just putting it out there for my listeners. And, I regretted it and felt guilty over it and prayed and asked for forgiveness for the child that I didn't have, and he or she is in heaven, and I get to meet him when I get there. Mm-hmm. But for me, I wouldn't want my children to go through that. Right, either. Right. So,
hold on, before you, because you were...
I'm going a lot of different sections. So you want to go now?
So I want to get back to the fact when you said your previous point about the Democrats. I don't believe that in a sense. I just believe that all of this is about us as a people. We're in such separate corners and such satellite, like such pockets, and we're only concerned with what's happening around us. But this is the United States of America, so this is our country. Mm-hmm. So as immigrants and people who are born here, who come here alike, once you come here and you take the oath to this country, this becomes you. Because any immigrant will tell you when they come here, once you come to America, you got a blue passport, and even if you go back home, there's an attitude and an adjustment that you have to have when you move to the West and when you come to U.S. that just makes you different. So you first around
you're an immigrant, because Chuck is from Jamaica.
No, I was born and raised here. So for me, I didn't have that, right? But I watched my family go through that their entire life. I watched the adjustment. I watched my uncle, the one who used to tell me, I used to love my Uncle Mike here, come tell me and say, man, Babylon and I deal with this. So basically, like, I'm not gonna let this change me. This is kind of like an anti-godly system, and this, that, and the other. I'm gonna continue to do Rasta.
It is an anti-godly system.
It is.
Our government you don't see God in our government at all, and that's what the country is built.
Except when they want to get the Christian vote, and that's the thing. We focus. But let me get back on the point. The point is that my uncle would say this, and after 5 or 10 years, I watched them be here, and then I watched them struggle when they go back home. Long time and how we get them, and I could deal with it. Like, I'm not going back because they feel like outside, or they get teased, or they have problems, or like my Uncle Mike used to always say, like, when the kids that are born here, he said, this, that, and the other, we would diss them and this.
So when they come to the States, who living and being from Jamaica, they get soft, and when they get back to Jamaica, they just Americanized.
It's not they get soft. It's just that there's certain comforts that you have here that you just don't have in
Jamaica. Like, it's soft.
It's not just Jamaica. I am not saying that for the young man. I'm not letting them get away with it. I'll deal with him when we come off the camera. Do not put that on me.
So I think we discussed one of our previous messages or previous podcasts that we've both been to other countries, right?
Right.
And so I love the United States because you're right. There are a lot of comforts here that other people from other cultures and countries don't get to experience. I've been to Liberia and Haiti on mission trips, and I've seen just how those people live and the poverty, the abject poverty that they live in. Right. Like, and it's sad, and I'm happy when I come back to the States. I say this to people, there's no perfect church, right? People go church hopping all the time because they're trying to find a perfect church. And when they get to a church, they think that they found a church home, and they get disappointed. Somebody says something to them, the pastor didn't sing this, didn't say this way, the music was this way, and then they church hop, right? There's no perfect church, right? There's no perfect country. But I'm glad to be a United States citizen. My father fought for this country, and
so did I.
Yeah, and so did you. He fought for this country. So, but one thing my dad told me was not to go into the service, because the service is not for black men.
But let me just say this. So also, because listen, I got family that picks this. So Mama and Jesse Ibanzo So before y'all on me, let me just tell you, there are issues in Haiti. Haiti is a very beautiful place. I've been to Jacmel. I've been to Port-au-Bouquet. Like, I'm telling you, there's places in Haiti where
I was in Port-au-Pay, and we put a roof on a hospital out there, and it was...
Well, we did some of that in Haiti when originally had the earthquake. We went into, like, Delmar 47. We went to... we was in Port-au-Prince. We was in downtown areas. So I was in there when CNN was doing, the funniest thing, I'm going to tell you a story. When CNN was doing, we were doing a medical mission, and I went with some friends of a partner of mine's family, and we went downtown, and I was having rum sours and Prestige beer with the cops when they were doing, like, when they used to have the barrel fires to stay warm outside, right? And this was to keep law and order downtown. CNN's behind us doing, like, the place, people, just recent murders, and we're like, murders? What are you talking about? But my point is, there's some beautiful places here. There's beautiful places in Africa. I'm not saying that America only has a paradise. What I'm trying to say is that there's comforts here that we don't have. Like family members, when they come here, they don't have. And there's another point that I want to make. Like, a lot of Africans, when they come here, right, they buy into this whole thing. And I had this whole argument because I'm tied to a lot of political group for my family, right? So when they talk about Africa, they talk about the diaspora and their conversation. And one of the conversations they had was, they said, "Oh, Democrats, we were Republicans." And my conversation went to them, and the whole conversation went silent. You blame Democrats, but it was our incoming president that said he didn't want you guys here because he didn't want no more people from shithole countries.
Right.
And he's stopping immigration. So you're trying to bring more family members here, but Trump doesn't want that. Like, so I don't, until that, my thing was, how do you support that? And they went back to the LGBT, we have our right to speak freely. And I think the thing is, I don't think, and for me, my experience is not that people hate or dislike the community. I think a lot of people feel drowned out, like they have no voice. Like if you say, like, I had a cousin of mine today said to me in a conversation when I was telling him about the podcast, he said, I can get called a nigga at work and get wrote, and you get and they just barely get written up.
Right.
But if you call somebody, if you call a homosexual a bundle of sticks or a bunch of other names, right,
You're right.
you lose your job. Right. You're the HR. There's no read up. There's no education, but there's an education to be called a nigga.
So what you're saying is that the LGBT community has a much stronger and louder voice than most other what do we call those social structures? Or
I wouldn't say that they have a louder voice, because for those who are truly suffering and who can't be themselves and can't do, I won't take that away.
I would say that.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah.
But I just wouldn't, because I know individuals that are suffering with their identity, and for that, my heart goes out to them, like, because everybody has a right to live their truth, right? But I just don't believe that
I don't believe that everybody has a right to live their truth. I think the truth. I think that we've allowed homosexuality to become acceptable. So much so that people aren't challenged. Like people have this whole idea. Oh, I can identify as a cat right now, or right. That's not what you were made.
Right.
And so that you weren't made as a man, you weren't made woman. As a woman, you weren't made man or cat or dog or cow. But if people in their minds are saying, oh, well, I identify as this, the Bible talks about, the wickedness of the mind, right? And heart, right? And so we have to challenge that. Like, we do. We have to come alongside him. Like, no, that's not okay.
No, I'm not allowed. You know what I mean? My mind just goes to the left. At first, when you said I identified as cat, I was like, I'm identified cat. I want to eat some pussy too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, and we're so serious about every bloody thing nowadays. You see me? Yeah, like we can have. That's my thing. We can have our views. We can love each other.
I like funny cat videos. Let's get back on
You
topic.
like real cat videos. Like, you know what I thought Fresh business? He's talking about real cats, like an old lady. I love pussycat one. I love pussycat.
No, cats are cute, but I don't want any. I'm not a cat person.
I know, but that's why I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you so good with bloody dogs, but you love the cat videos.
Cats.
Yeah.
Cats are mean.
Really?
Anyway, let's get back on track. So,
Okay.
what was I saying? You got me totally off track. So I think a lot of are people that, and I talked about this when I was a leader in church for my kids, is that your identity rests in Christ, right? And what did, and Christ made you. He didn't make a mistake. You know, you may be having those feelings, those really strong feelings that you are gay. And
What type of feeling does?
the people that identify as yeah, I'm talking about people that do.
Got you.
And yeah, you struggle with that. I get that, and I keep that in prayer, right? But like for porn, for people that are addicted to porn, or like people have feelings about porn, right? It's these feelings that we have, these urges that we have, but that doesn't make it correct. It doesn't make it right just because we're having those feelings and those urges. And I just revert back to the Bible. And I heard this lady today, and I saw a video short on TikTok, and she was saying that she didn't care about religion. She didn't care about anybody's Bible. She didn't care about what the Bible said about homosexuality. She was going to live her life the way she wanted to. She doesn't judge others for having this witchcraft of a religion called Christianity. And she doesn't want to hear what the Bible has to say about her identity. Right. She's free to feel that way. Right. She is. I'm not judging her. I don't judge people, members of the LGBT community, because I'm a sinner and I sin. And Bible, what Scripture says, least you judge you will be judged. Right. And so I don't want to do that. I want to love everybody. Right. Everybody.
Like,
there you go. So.
I'm silly. I had coffee before I started, so sorry, man.
And so I want to come alongside everybody and just be able to be we're gonna cut this part out.
No, we're gonna start. You can't cut it. This is this time. All right.
Joke. Come on, be serious for a minute. Now made me lose my train of thought again. Right. Good. So I just want to be a safe space to come along people and have a conversation with them about Jesus, about God, right? And I can't be like, yo, you can't do that. What your lifestyle you're living is sinful. The lifestyle I'm living is sinful, right? I live in sin. We all live in sin every day.
We all fall short.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ is the example, right? And, we all live to be Christ-like. I think the thing is that where I want us to get to a point is that we can all have a point of difference, right? And still be okay in these next 4 or 12 years. Like, politics doesn't have to define who and what we are. Just because I don't like certain things. Like, it got to a point where I can't say... I remember one guy was a supervisor, and one guy on the floor said to me, a bike nurse, and I said, you don't like this, I don't like this. We have to figure out a way to kind of, how do we meet in the middle, right? Because outside of telling me you don't like a certain, like, I just don't think that we want to generalize everybody. Like, we all have a different set of views. And I'm fortunate, for me, at a workplace, I have 2 LGBT members I can have open conversations with, right? And we have raw conversations. We go out to dinner, we talk, and she is like, Chuck, you're wrong, this and the other. And I think, but I like that. I have a friend of mine, and their daughter is going through that, and that's what I'm saying. So I don't understand. So I can go to her and be like, yo, this doesn't make sense. Why do you do this? If you identify this, why are you doing this? And she knows culturally, for me, that's not something that we say, but at least that I have respect enough for her and my relationship with them to understand. And we're not going to agree. Right. But I think the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, in this climate, is that we have to find a way that we can disagree and still be on agreeable time. Like,
so I think when you sit down and actually talk to the people that are, you think, on the opposing side,
right.
A lot of most and 100% of the cases, we all have the same desires and needs and wants, and we all have the same things that we struggle with. And especially as men, and that's why we have this podcast, right? Because I have a lot of friends that don't look like me, and I have a lot of strong, really hard conversations with them about politics, about marriage, about children, right? And we all struggle with those things equally. Like it's not that because I'm black, I struggle with, I don't struggle in my marriage, or I don't struggle with raising my children, or I don't struggle in my business or my finances, right? We all do it. We all do. Because when I sit down with them, it's like, dude, you struggle with that too? It's like, yes, I struggle with lust, or I struggle with not spending enough time with Christ, right? And people, I struggle in prayer. Right. A lot of men don't pray. Right. I struggle in prayer. Right. Yeah. But see, what happens is that the enemy wants us to keep us all that internally. So we hold on to that. So we can't find someone and be vulnerable enough with someone to express to them that we are struggling with this, to find out that they're struggling with that with them. Struggling that as well. So we become unified in the things in our pain. Right. In our pain, we become unified, and that's what God wants us to be. He wants to open all that up. He wants to bring all that to light, right, so that we have support in our struggle, in our pain. And it's a liberating thing. It's a great thing when we come together that way.
Yeah, but I will tell you that I love the way you do that. But you're a much better approach to. Like you're a much better chameleon than I am. I thought I was good at code switch.
I'm not a chameleon. I'm just M.
No, right. Well, you am a chameleon. No, man, because you go up.
So I told my boys this. I told my boys this when I was a youth leader at church. Right. I said, you got to be the same man in every room. You got to be the same man in every room. People don't like you for your authenticity. That says more about them than you. Especially if you just come in and you can show them love and empathy and kindness, like, be a fruit of the spirit in every room, right?
Yeah, but I think the thing is that, being a fruit of the spirit, right? I think it's a matter of which side of the fruit tree do you show.
Okay, well, what does that mean?
Like
a lot of fruit.
Like for me, you want to see the side of the fruit tree that gets the most sun and the most water. You gonna have to turn me. You have to pivot me in the conversation.
So your thing is you don't trust people. No, very easy. So you don't start off trusting people.
No.
So I start off trusting people, and they give you a reason not to.
Right, but that's why you fare well when we're in rooms, and you're like, and they're like, hi, sure, hi, and I'm like, no, you're sure, no, that's my friend. Who are you? And I want to know who, because they just walk up and want to have conversation when I ask them about my personal business and what they do. And
what they ask you about business and how you doing? You got kids. You're trying to find when I'm as a salesperson, right?
Right.
And we talked about this, and
I'm not selling anything.
No. But when you're a salesman, right? When you're we're in business, right? We do sell ourselves. We're trying to sell this podcast, right? We are trying to sell ourselves, right? You have to find a way to connect.
You can buy a copy for
you have to find a way to be able to connect with either the person that you're trying to do business with, or the person that you want to develop a relationship with.
I understand, but if I'm in the room and we're doing business, you see me move in business, that's different, because I have to market and sell my stuff to get the products in exchange for the stuff I want to do and for the investors. That's different. But if I'm walking into a room and we're talking personal things, like, man, like, okay, like I went to...
But this dude has so many jokes. I don't get it. Like, he will come out with an inappropriate joke in a second, and people be laughing. And you talking about, I don't like people.
Well, I at first
I don't trust people.
Right, because they have to give me a reason why I should talk to you. Like my conversation, right? Like I'm friendly, I'm cordial with everybody, right? But if I saw you over there, to me, if I saw you over there talking to this person and you say a mean thing and you talk sniffly and snarky behind them, I don't want.
Oh, yeah, but do I do that?
I'm not. I don't. I'm like, yo, please get away from me.
Uh-huh.
Like no. Like I love this scenario. It's like if you see 10 snakes coming towards you, am I going to figure out which one is non-poisonous? Nah.
You just gonna run away?
I'm gonna let them in their own path. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this. The one thing I love about what we're doing here, and that's why I say I on you, and I know you that got multiple things going on. But I always tell you the one thing I like about our conversation is genuine. We don't have to make up anything. We come together, we talk about a topic, and it just comes off. And in fact, a lot of what I do when we're not together is trying to like bring attention to what we're doing. Like a lot, especially my TikTok, it's mostly about relationships, and I try to be positive, and I try to be from a man perspective, right? And I'll post stuff, and I always do this. I would say from a woman's corner, from a men's corner, right? Like if I even post.
So follow his TikTok. What's his TikTok?
Real talk 19, I believe it is, and then it's like then I think the TikTok is like King Talk or whatever. Yeah, but it's like I gotta get it. I'll pull it up. It'll be on. I'll send Sean a thing so he can hashtag it on the. So the point, and as I was trying to make, is that we have to learn to have more dialogue. Like we have to have conversation, right? And I think the thing is that I have a neighbor who I didn't really appreciate so much the banter until I didn't have it, because then it was like, who do I have this with? I had this kind of uncomfortable yet comfortable space. We would go to each other's house, we were rizzling and stuff, and have a conversation. And I remember the last conversation I said, and she was like, came over to like we had like a wine event. She came over, she did a whole thing about Trump, and I was like, this is not really the place for it. Nobody really cares for this man.
Yeah,
talk about something else, right? Yeah. And then
Trump's conversation is very polarizing, especially when depending upon who is in the room.
Well, I think the thing is that for me, I don't know enough. Like I always say, should this man make me rich in the next 4 years? I don't know if I'd be so concerned about all the politics. So
I think that's why the Democratic Party didn't have the support that they thought they were going to have, is because of the situation that Americans thought that they found themselves in the Biden administration. And
yeah, I lost a lot of money in the stock market. I really did.
And so people are in it for themselves, or in it. Well, I mean, everybody is in it to better themselves, and we should be, right? Mm-hmm. I think that hopefully just praying for our politicians to have God do to have them do as God wills them to do, and I think that's important regardless of who's in the office. And I think you're right. We need to have more conversations with each other, especially amongst people that don't look like us, that don't live in the same neighborhoods as us. Ask them how they're doing, but the thing is, and I wanted to say this. So I had there was a pastor that came to one of our men's retreats up in New York one year. He was a black pastor, and it was he came towards the end of the first Trump administration. And he was a really, really good speaker that they had at the men's retreat. Now, most of the men at the men's retreat that I go to are white men, Trump supporters. Mm-hmm. And so he got up there on a Saturday evening, and his message was about the plight of African American people and how he was educating them on what African Americans have had to endure in this country, and the system that is geared against us. Redlining and the ghettos, and banks not wanting to give us loans for our businesses. The education system that we have to deal with, and the lack of, even though our cities have, so much tax dollars that come to them from the government, typically our schools are underfunded and malnourished, and just the situation that African Americans find themselves in. And so, a lot of times, because white people are, and I'm not blaming them for not knowing that, because a friend of mine pointed out to me, his wife is Asian. He was like, well, yeah, but do you know a lot about the African American plight, but do you know about the Asian plight? And I don't. I just don't. I don't research it. And so I'm just as guilty as white folks are about not understanding and not knowing what African Americans have to endure in this country as I am about the Asian plight, right? Or the Mexican plight.
Right, but here's the thing.
Let me just finish.
No, I'm just going to I think what you said is pretty profound. What you just admitted, I may not know about the Asian plight. And I think the problem is with a lot of my white cohorts and partners and neighbors, and what they do is that they pretend to they kind of like paternalize your situation as if they know better than you.
Right.
And the thing is that, well, I know all about it. I used to work in Philadelphia for 2 years, and when I worked as a nurse, I saw things. And that's their go-to.
Right.
Right? You didn't try to justify, hey, I don't know, you're right. Talk to me.
Right.
And I think that's
they typically come up with, African Americans just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Well, we ain't got our boots.
Yeah.
We ain't got no boots.
Yeah. Shoestrings, wear the boots.
They keep taking away our boots with the systems that they keep putting in place that affect our community negatively. And it's well documented. Do your research, go out there and figure it out, find it out, because, we're not in the position, we're in simply because we're lazy folks, right? Slaves wasn't lazy, right? We don't have no planes to traffic drugs, crack cocaine into our communities. That was all the government that did that, the United States government that put that into our communities. We didn't kill off our leaders and during the civil rights movement, right? And so I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who's white, and I told her, I said, listen, white America is so afraid of black people, they think black people are going to hurt them in some way, murder them or shoot them. I said, black people are more conditioned to shooting themselves than white folks anyway, number one. And number two, there have been more killings from white people or killing black people in our history in our country than we could ever imagine. Blacks coming and kill some white person.
But I think that's what a lot of racists feel like. They feel like, Jane Lewis, older white lady, did a study, right? And she said, stand up. She said it was a room full of white people, and there was some black people in the room, right? And she said, talked about all the stuff, affordability in the country, this, that, and the other. And they stood up and they were talking about, they had a story that, black people need to learn to do this, and black people need to learn to do this, and blah, blah. And she said, stand up if any of you would trade places with an African American.
Right.
Not one person stood up, which tells me, and she's not the only one, but there's been several experiences like that. There are just several of my white counterparts that just say, well, I don't want black people to turn around and do what we did to them. And not that I feel like is their biggest fear. Not that we've ever done anything or shown them. We've never gotten any mobs and marched with tiki torches through white neighborhoods and said, we're going to kill you or we want to harm you. We've never done anything. We've never even alluded to the fact black people are loving and compassionate people. Black people, for the most part, when you talk to black people, they just want to live in peace, adjust to the system, get off their piece of the pie. We don't ask you for anything. I don't. Listen.
The system. Let's get back to.
Hold on. I'm gonna just say. I will get back to the system, but I'm gonna tell you something. I was at work one time, and it was true white people in it, and I was just behind them, and I was like, "What are they watching?" Right? I didn't know what they were. I was just standing there because I thought they were watching. They were watching the new employees come in, and it happened to be two African, one African man from Liberia, another guy from Nigeria. One from Botswana, a Mexican lady, and two, a Puerto Rican and an African American lady. They were the new employees from HR and all the system. And the comment that these three individuals made: "Look at these people stealing our jobs." And I looked and I was like, stealing your job. See, and I'm saying, that's why I said it was segued into the idea, like when Elon Musk and others talk about diversity and inclusion is not needed, when you still have people that feel like these are their jobs. And when you talk about the technologies that Black people have contributed to America, and the GPS, the cell phone, and all these technologies that were developed.
All the schools and universities and buildings that Black people built as slaves, right. Back in the 1800s. I mean, it's
and you want to exclude us from the current society.
You want to call us lazy,
right? And I'm saying, but it makes a difference. Like, here's the thing: when you say your jobs, and my thing is, what job are these people supposed to have? Like, my thing is that so. When you're shocked because we live in the same neighborhood, that tells me you don't think that I should be making what you're making. And I think the thing is we can't make our building block off of an unfair foundation and then talk about the people who live on the lower part of the foundation. We can't do that.
So here, watch this. Watch what I do. Right? Okay. All right. So
I'm watching.
Yeah. So here is my opinion about what is the trouble in our country. Mm-hmm. Number one is the family. It's men not being in the homes, men not helping to raise their children. Right?
Wait, a lot of women don't feel like they need us.
So, and that they're conditioned to do that. Why? Because of welfare. Because of the slave trade, and when they were separating our mothers and our husbands and wives in order to go to different plantations, in order to break them, essentially, they took away the family unit then, and they continue to do it today with welfare. Right, with welfare, and so
you can get child support from this man. You can get $8-9 a month. Why do you need him?
Right. But now, but see, child support. That's what welfare is designed to do. Is to keep those individuals that are on and down. So here's the thing, Trump, you can call me on this. You can try because I've got the cure for welfare right here, right? What you do is you allow the man to be back into the house. Number one, you give those individuals 6 years. 2 years, you put them through a remedial training to get them to be able to go to college, right? We subsidize college anyway. After the 2 years, they get tutoring. The next 4 years, they go to a 4-year public school, college, and university. Their college is free. You listen.
Conservatives are not going to listen.
What's wrong with you? They will because it's cheap.
Socialists.
It's cheap.
I rebuke you in the name of my holy.
But wait. It'll be cheaper.
Right.
It'll be cheaper this way. Right? They get a college education for free. Yeah, I'm saying free. But then when they come out of college, they work for the government for the next 4 years. They get a good job. No. Some of that money comes back out that they got their college for free for. They're paying the subsidies, part of the subsidies back. Right?
Sounds good.
Listen, let me finish. Mm-hmm. And then once they are done putting their 4 years in, it's like the military. Once they come putting their 4 years into the government job that they had, number one, they have skills, they have job training, they have learned from the government how to do whatever technology or whatever the government needs them to do, whatever they go to schooling for. Mm-hmm. And then they can come out and go into the private sector and get paid more money. After that, they're off of welfare. After the 6 years, they put them through that program. Mm-hmm. It's cheaper that way.
I hear you, but that's from a fairness, a sense of a fair and equitable sense of where.
But people always complaining. Republicans are always conservatives are always complaining about people on welfare. Now, over 60-something% of recipients of welfare are white. They're not black.
Right, but here's the thing. When I did a research on this years ago, they did a program and
call me, Trump. Call me. I'll put it.
I will call you. Sure, I will. I want to call Sean Sims right away.
I mean, because people, when they have good paying jobs, they feel better about themselves. It's just uplifting. It gives them hope.
Listen, I wonder why there wasn't enough programs for work transition programs out here when I came out. Because when I came out, I used to do local representatives. I did politics in Philadelphia, and I thought I wanted to get involved in Coatesville. So I wanted to figure out first thing they were having these programs. So I started talking to people about the programs, the fair and equity programs, both here, Coatesville and Westchester. And both and this is off the record, I'm not allowed to say names, but both of the representatives that were saying when they were doing the research, they were saying, and two of the black women who worked there just said, we have a problem because when all of the LPN, the good programs, they give it to the white women who come in. And then the jobs like CNAs, the jobs of sewing, stitching, they give it to the black women. So they start off not giving them a chance. See, systemically, no matter what I'm trying to tell you is you want to fair up the system, the corrupt system. You want to fair it up so to make an even kill for lower level people, but it's not.
But welfare is never ending and is bleeding this country.
No, it's not. The welfare's not bleeding this country dry. It's people paying unfairly, not paying their taxes. It's people who are billionaires.
Well, yeah, that too.
It's people who are billionaires and paying less than what I pay in federal tax off of my salary, right? It's so much more than that. My thing is that whenever you get somebody to the finish line,
so you don't want welfare reform.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, whenever you get somebody to the finish line, they push the goalposts. That's all I'm saying is you're setting yourself up, because every time. And I love an idea, call it idealist, social worker, but I love one of my favorite politicians who I would follow, that if for president is Bernie Sanders.
So what would you do for welfare then?
I would probably do a program. I wouldn't be that lenient with it, right? You would have to have more parameters on it, because see, if people from the upper class are conservative.
So my plan is lenient?
Yeah.
How is it lenient?
You given 2 years of school, 2 years of tutoring, and another
2 years of tutoring, and then 4 years of college. That's 6 years to get them prepared. So the 2 years gets them prepared for college. If they don't need those 2 years, then we can bypass those 2 years.
All I'm saying is America got rid of a lot of the programs and gave them the colleges and universities for a reason. When we in this country had,
or they can go to trade school.
Right. We took in so much of that.
Because we need trades. We had
mechanics, carpentry, computer engineering. We had all of this stuff, right? We turned around and made these in the university and made them expensive and made them less accessible to other people. The idea is that I'm telling you, as a nurse, right? I used to be able to get my LPN, my license to practice nursing, and do very good.
But our government was about to. They forgiven. Like our government just forgave a bunch of student loans.
Not mine. No.
But they did, right?
I know, a bunch of people.
Right. So I think there was a post that said, we just send billions of dollars to these other countries, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as a disaster happens, we find the money. We have the money to pay for this natural disaster, right? Sure. When an atrocity goes on overseas or war, we send money there, right? When America. When America wants to pay for something, they can find the money to pay for it. Right. All those politicians there that give free health care, like they paying their salaries, right? They paying their hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Right.
They only work a couple months a year.
Exactly.
And they don't have any co-pay. So I'm gonna tell y'all, for people who think federal workers don't have the same as a federal representative, we don't. We don't get no, like they get hundreds of dollars for suits and laundry and all that. We don't get that. They get no co-pays for insurance, the money they make. And I'm still like, people on federal workers, but your focus is on the wrong thing. Because I don't walk, there are politicians that their salary is $175,000 a year, but they're worth $48 million. Like, where's all that money coming from?
Yeah.
No one questions that, but you'll come after somebody who works who's a maintenance guy for the federal government. Like, I just don't understand this.
Yeah.
The thing is, in the current climate, we can disagree.
But what I'm saying is that it's the impact that the family is under, like the husband and the wife, the mother and the father, the nuclear family raising a family, and so. When that is not there, then you inflict chaos. Now, there's plenty of single fathers and single mothers out there doing a wonderful job. If that's you, kudos to you. I was raised by a single mother, and so my mom did her best. She was basically a genius. She started her own company and business, and so she became an entrepreneur and raised her 3 kids very well. And so, but But if she has went out from time to time, but being a married man, I mean, it's easier. It was easier having two people that were making a 2-income household.
So
right?
I was raised,
and it's secure. It gives the kids security.
Yeah, but I would say my mom. I would say my mom did her best, but I would say, as far as the things that I needed from a man, I had to get that when I got older. It was from my church.
Well, that's exactly the point that I'm saying. That's the detriment of welfare in our system, is because we're not praising and supporting families like two people in families, the mother and father and children, like that is under attack, and the enemy is definitely all in that.
Yeah, but I would make this clear too, so we don't because we don't want you to think that this is all about one group of people. Like, the thing is that now the idea that initially welfare and the federal systems and their programs have initially caused the initial offset to separate families, and it made it okay for the fathers to be out the house, right? Because then women didn't need no man.
Right.
Then that spawned off into feminism, and then as women took part of that, and then took part of "I don't need no man" this campaign, to where I can do what a man can do, right?
And now we're back to if I can find a man that can allow me to be back into my feminine state.
Yeah, yeah,
right. Well, it's a crazy sight. That's a crazy sight, right? Crazy sight.
I know that.
Now women want men back. Women want men back, right?
Right.
They've been pushing men away,
right?
For how long now?
Right. And then this bullshit that they're saying, like, this bullshit that they talking about. Like, I remember having a female have a conversation, was like, if a real man come along, he would make me want to step into my femininity. I'm like, bro, please, like, if you're not feminine when I meet you, it's not my job. Like I love the homie who was having a conversation with Kitty Rose and a couple other girls, and came on, and then my homie spitting bars. He said, listen, if I came to you as a 38-year-old man and I was a feminine, walking around telling myself my dad didn't teach me nothing, he said, would you date me? He said, no, I don't want no feminine man. She said, right, you wouldn't care.
Well, we don't want no masculine women.
Right. He was like, so when I tell you I don't want no masculine woman, that's what he want. Who wants to come home to that?
Yeah.
If for me, I don't want to go deal with no woman thing. Like, if I come home and you are acting like me, I don't need you in the house. Like, to me,
you don't need you in the house.
Right. All I see is this. Yeah, I got dinner on the table. You know what I'm saying? You want that? No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Right. The whole purpose, like, listen, Kevin Samuels said, if you look down, he said, every woman, if you look down, hold your hand in an arrow. He said, that's a vagina. Come standard on every model. Right? He's very right. Right? And to a point, especially at the age I am right now, pum not gonna make it. Like, that's not the only thing I'm interested. Like, you can have good pum hug and kiss, nice, and do all that. But what are you peaceful? And listen, I get it.
So we're a little bit off topic.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it back on topic.
Okay, all right? Yeah.
Are you peaceful? That's what I want. When I'm going peaceful, and listen, I can cook.
No. Our topic.
Listen, hold on. I'm bringing it back.
You bring it back.
Listen, I can cook. So my thing is that, I can cook. So I don't need you necessarily cooking. But for me, it's about you wanting to do stuff for me. It's not about me making you. The thing is that, so in our current climate, we got a lot of work to do in relationships, friendship, like all type of, friendships, kinships, whatever the ships are, we got a lot of work to do in that. And especially in marriages. And the thing is that for married people, man, you in a relationship or a long-term relationship or marriage, man, just know that the devil's coming for you. He's going to attack. Yeah. And the thing is to stop with this nonsense of seeking your friend's advice. I don't care. Listen, if you got a girlfriend and she ain't never had no successful relationship, stop that. And I always tell you, if all my homies have failed in a relationship, they are not who I'm supposed to go to. Iron sharpens iron.
Good godly counsel.
Right. And the thing is that
good, mature godly counsel. People that know the word, that know the Bible.
Well, by their fruits you shall know them. Yeah. And I always say that. Like, I always say, listen, I have a homie, he's cheating and doing this thing. I ain't got no business going to him about my advice. You know what I mean? Number one, keep what you have between you two and you work between you two. And the one thing I noticed that where if for a man, ladies, I'm gonna tell you something. If a man don't notice that, don't feel like he's the head of his household and a girlfriend running this household, you're gonna have more discord in your home because a man, he married and he's dedicated to you, not your friends, not your aunties, not your other ones. Like, you see me, you should never do that. Yeah. But my point is that in this relationship, in all relationships, we gotta have conversation. In this current climate, no matter what it is, no matter who's in charge, no matter who's in government, the thing is, I just want to tell people that in relationships and in politics and friendships and all ships there is, really, what it comes down to is the government says, and our Constitution says, there should be no government greater than the people it serves. And we have to remember that. Like, they work for us. It is not that we elect them so that they can tell us what to do. We elect them so that when they don't do, we supposed to step at the Capitol steps. We're supposed to march. And, whatever it takes, man, I'm just telling you, we need to get together. We need to get this spirit of camaraderie amongst each other. We need to get the idea that the proud of who we are and where we are and the opportunities and let them and focus on our common goals and what shares us together and let that be how we treat each other. You know what I mean?
Amen to that. All right. So, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Moment of Men.
Yes.
We hope we enlighten you a little bit. You comment on our posts, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and we'll see you for the next episode.
Yep.